got a question about mobility today, and it raised a good point in my mind. Oftentimes, mobility now, I think, gets confused or miscategorized, misinterpreted. It's become such a catch-all term in the fitness and sports performance industry that I think it gets used broadly, and it has very specific applications and should be divided really into two categories, I believe. Those two categories being joint mobility and athletic mobility. Athletic mobility would simply be kind of traditional athleticism, so to speak. The athlete's ability to move from point A to point B, kind of an ambulatory capability with their entire body, not indicating that their joints are loose in any way, just indicating that they have great neuromuscular capability to move their body through space very quickly. That would be athletic mobility. Joint mobility, conversely, does not indicate athleticism in any sense. All it indicates is that in a passive setting, I'm able to move an athlete's joint through a particular range of motion, indicating that they're very lax in that joint. Flexion, extension, rotation, all these activities at a shoulder, a hip, a spinal junction, all those things would indicate joint mobility. Joint mobility and athletic mobility are not necessarily related. In fact, I would argue that power athletes who ambulate really well with their entire body oftentimes are very tightly wound muscularly, so therefore they are not joint mobile. Whereas, for instance, in a major league pitcher who's very joint mobile, he oftentimes may not be overly athletic from a sprint or change of direction perspective. So realize that joint mobility and athletic mobility are two very different things, oftentimes not married in any sense. They can coexist in an athlete, but much of the time they don't. You have your joint mobile athletes and your athletically mobile athletes. That combination is rare if you can get the two of them in one athlete, and obviously a very sought after combination athletically, but oftentimes those two things are completely different considerations.